Hello, everybody, and welcome to what I hope is the second to last, the penultimate check-in for my Resolution 2022 challenge. If you don't, well, it's not really a challenge, it's a resolution, but resolutions in and of themselves are kind of like a challenge. It's a challenge mode for life. You have to figure out what you're doing for yourself and stick to it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, because I usually just speak gibberish, I had some Arkham resolutions at the start of the year, and one of those was to play every investigator in a campaign at least once. I figured that this would be the time to do it before, the investigator pool gets even bigger. But as you can see, we have a lot of investigators to talk about since our last resolution video. So it's my hope that I'm going to get through all of the remaining investigators by the end of the year. And then on December 31st, we're going to do our final resolution check-in and talk about what I learned throughout the year. So we have a bunch of red star investigators, as you can see. All the black stars have already been talked about in previous resolution videos, which you'll find a playlist for at the end of the video if you're curious about my thoughts on those investigators. But we have a lot of juicy investigators to talk about. Most notably, ones that I haven't played in a long time include Lola Hayes, Patrice, and Parallel Wendy, who I've actually never played Parallel Wendy through a campaign. So it's going to be a good time. We're just going to go down from top to bottom. We're going to kind of jump through the teams as they go. Unlike the last check-in, we have no draft or weird challenge runs as far as I'm aware. These are all just legitimate decks without any weird stipulations. So it should be a good time. We're going to start with Miss Agnes Baker, first on the list. She actually is a run that I just finished up on my Twitch channel, which you can find currently uploaded on the Patreon if you wanted to watch the gameplay for it at the lowest $3 level because it was streamed somewhere else. So in this one, I was just running through Dream Eaters to try to just check off a bunch of investigators from my resolution run, and one of those investigators was Parallel Agnes. I will say, at this point, I'm pretty sick of Mystics. Mystics just, I'm tired of them, but luckily with Scarlet Keys, I got a little bit of a reprieve. So I actually was running Ceremonial Sickle in this deck, mainly because when we get to Marie Lambeau later, I realized, hey, Marie Lambeau can't actually play the upgraded Ceremonial Sickle. So I was like, I wanted to do Doom Marie Lambeau with the Sickle, and it just didn't turn out. Unfortunately, my deck was already built, and I didn't really exactly pivot too much, which is unfortunate. However, I do know that Marie Lambeau is going to get a lot of time to grow and play in the new year, and I'm probably going to play her a few times with the new Scarlet Keys card. So luckily, she's not going to be on waiting list again. It's going to be sooner before I get to it. But we're talking about Agnes. This was a pretty simple Agnes deck. As I said, the big thing here was Ceremonial Sickle to see how it went, because there's a lot of talk about how maybe the upgraded Ceremonial Sickle is not the best, because it's very hard for it to be a consistent killing weapon. This is especially true when you're relying on no spell slots with this Explosive Ward. Explosive Ward is the truth. This card is a good card. I played it with Binder's Jar to try to get up to 4 damage out of it, and it's a good combination of cards. I think you have to work for it, and it's entirely fair, and it costs 4 damage to deal 4 damage at its peak, but it's still just a very, very good card. Ceremonial Sickle, I like. I will say that Agnes showed up the entire time. She killed the things that need to be killed. This is in combination, of course, with Spectral Razor and Explosive Ward. And then also a Clutch Power Word that I kind of just put in as a joke because I needed a 30th card. Never upgraded it. Used it twice. Wasn't upset with it the both times I used it. I don't think it's a thing that is going to be your enemy's solution, but I think it's still just a fine card. I knew Agnes was good coming into this, and this deck really didn't change my opinion either way. Agnes is still good. The cards in Scarlet Keys for this archetype are also very good. Okay. Oh, another Mystic. Akachi. So, Akachi was played with Lola on the current run, as you can see, Lola run. And, it wasn't I'm just sick of mystics. Like, I know Akachi's good. Akachi is a good mystic. She has 5 brain. Her pool, while not as exciting as Agnes's, can still just do things. The charges, there's a lot of cool things that you can do there. And nothing has really changed my thoughts on it. It was just another mystic deck that, like when I played Dexter, kind of just sometimes didn't hit the ground running. In 2 players, mystics, it's hard to be consistent in the way that a guardian can, or like a rogue killer can, or like even a survivor killer can. And like, while they still can put up and like show results, they're also more fragile. However, I will say, my new favorite thing to do is to play... I mean, this is not my new favorite thing to do. Playing Brandon Cthugha is a pretty old favorite thing of mine to do. I love Brandon Cthugha. However, I really like Brandon Cthugha and the new Uncage the Soul from Scarlet Keys. And you're going to see that again. Spoiler alert. There's not much to say about Akachi. I had like 7 Frost tokens. The episodes haven't come out yet, but yeah. Get ready for a clickbait title in a few weeks. That's going to be like, Lola versus 7 Frost tokens? Who will win? I think that's a pretty easy guess on who's going to win there. Alright, that's Akachi. Who do we have next? Hey, it's Lola! Alright, so we got to give Lola the love that she deserves here. So this is the tabooed Lola. This is the Lola that now is... There we go. Is this the tabooed Lola? Taboo list 21.6.28. Oh no, I built it before it was live. So here, let's just do some on-the-fly tweaking. And go like that. So now, Lola, we can Lightning Bolt switch our role. And as an action, we can also now switch roles during our turn. However, the big change is that Crisis of Identity is now discard 1 card in your hand or play the play area of your current role and then do the bat effect. So this made it so that you don't really get like, you're not just like sitting on a landmine that just like, you're not like, there's not like a stick of dynamite under the table that has a fuse that is just eventually going to explode. It allows you to play smart and not get absolutely blown out potentially. With all that said, I still don't think like, I mean, this is a good improvement for Lola. This is a good improvement for Lola, and I think what it does is it allows the players who like Lola to be able to explore her more and just not get put back 20 steps just because of an unlucky card draw. It makes it so that the weakness is more in line with other weaknesses, right? Like, for example, Amanda Sharp, very strong investigator. Her weakness isn't that bad, right? In comparison. Lola, pretty average, not great investigator. Her ability is her deck building, and deck building isn't really an ability, right? However, her weakness did not match this. So now I think that her weakness actually matches what Lola is. It's better suited for what Lola brings to the table. It also didn't make Lola, like, busted, right? It makes it so that Lola's still Lola. Lola still feels like the investigator whose ability is the fact that she is neutral and can play all of these freaking cards that are in this deck, right? Lola is still good at what she wants to do without making her, like, you know, boring, right? They didn't strip her away. It just made it so that you can be more consistent, and consistency is good, and you also can just, like, not get blown out. And you can also be smart and play around it. Like, for example, I would sometimes keep just like a take card in my hand while I stayed in red, because in this deck I stayed in red and my passives were all my other things. This Lola deck I also actually had a really hard time building, but I did enjoy it. It wasn't, enjoy is the wrong word. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like, I didn't have like crazy fun playing Arkham. But Lola is not a character for me in this game. Lola is a character for other players who like this kind of thing, right? And I think that the changes have made it so it's just that it's more consistent to be able to do your thing, and kind of just brought the weakness into a better place, and allow you to also not just like, to switch if need to. You have a panic button that you can press now to switch twice. I think it's a good change for Lola. I'm going to play her again because I think the changes made her actually, like, Lola fans aren't going to like this, but makes her playable to me. And I think it's a good change. And while she didn't exactly, like, change the world and, like, my viewpoints on Lola exponentially or, like, extremely, but it still was a good time playing Lola. I didn't hate it, which is better than it was last time. You know? And sometimes you just got to take the victories. All right, here we're back to another Mystic. How many Mystics do I have left to do on this list? We have Diana, who's not really a Mystic. Gloria, I'm already playing. Oh my god. Oh, okay, good. So we're out of the Mystic Hell. We're out of Mystic Hell. Anyway, back to Mystic Hell. So Marie Lambeau saw a lot of changes in with her card pool in Scarlet Keys. She got a lot of Doom things. Now, of course, I made everyone really upset when I was playing this Marie Lambeau deck. It's not. I played this one with Stella through Machining a Mystery, a custom campaign. It's not finished yet, so I made it just a few small things. Like, for example, I had, I think, only one Arcane Initiate at level 3, so I just, threw the other one in. But I made everyone really mad, and I didn't actually, like, build around the new cards. As you can see, like, the only new cards that we have in here are Living Ink and Uncage the Soul 3. And the Ceremonial Sickle, which, as I said, I had a plan, but I had to get out of that plan because of when I realized. Because I was like, oh yeah, Marie's Mystic. She can go level 4 cards, but no. Marie can only do 0 to 3. And spell cards 0 to 5. But the Ceremonial Sickle, hey, that ain't a spell. That ain't a spell. I think Marie Lambeau has always been, like, while I rated her, like, lower on my tier lists, and I think that's just because she lives in that weird spot that Gloria Goldberg kind of lives in, where you have your book and your brain are your big stats. So it makes it so that you're kind of just, like, running a Sixth Sense is good, but then it's like your book is there too, and and then you, like, lose it in your other stats. Like, luckily Marie's pretty made up for that in her stat line. However, Marie Lambeau doesn't have an ability like Gloria Goldberg does. So, like, to me, Marie Lambeau has always been kind of weaker. Now, I know there's people saying, hey, but you can get an extra ability, you can get another action a turn to play a spell card, and that's real. And yes, that is real, but I don't think it's as real as that. I just don't. Like, I think, like, one action a turn on a specific card that I think are just, by their very nature, like, yeah, like, doing a Sixth Sense is good, but, like, you then have to, like, if you're doing your spells, you have to, like, charge them up, right? Like, if I'm playing, like, Rite of Seeking, obviously it's a fantastic card to get an extra action. But, like, then what are you doing with your other actions? Gaining a resource, drawing a card? Sure. Yeah, that's fun. But, like, I think it's good, but I don't think it's at that level that, like, winning the game like Gloria Goldberg's does, right? That's what I'm saying. I think it's a good ability, and, like, an extra action a turn is a good thing, but it's not exactly... To quote the great Shania Twain, it's not impressing me much, right? Don't be impressing me much. It's just not doing it for me. However, I do think Marie Lambeau is a good investigator, and I'm very excited to try her with the Doom stuff. So this is, like, not really like a Marie Scarlet Keys test, but to be honest, the Doom stuff doesn't really interest me in Scarlet Keys. I like the whole Ceremonial Sickle side of things, and unfortunately that died for me. It wasn't able to work. However, I will try Marie Lambeau with all the Doom stuff to, like, give it a fair shake. And I think that level of consistency will mean that you'll be able to be hitting your actual text on your investigator more. And I did enjoy being able to take advantage of it with, like, the classic Arcane Initiate. And even like with Ceremonial Sickle, I was able to take advantage of it. And I think like even more tools will make it really good and will really push Marie into a very nice place. But Marie, my opinion on her has not changed. She's still just kind of boring to play. And while I think she's good, I wasn't exactly floored by Marie Lambeau. All right, Monterey Jack. So Monterey Jack, I remember, was one of the investigators that I gave like an A+ to, I think, as my tier list last year. And I was super high on Monterey Jack. I thought he was a great investigator. And do I still think that? Yeah, I think he's still good. I don't think if he's A+ good. He's probably like an A, I think. Just because his text on his ability is just passively, like, really good. Now, you might be saying, but Justin, you just said Marie Lambeau's wasn't good, and this is effectively just drawing a card or gaining a resource. And yeah, that's true. That is true. But Monterey Jack has an infinitely better card pool. Like, he is in one of the strongest color combinations in the game, and while he can't take advantage of the high-end rogue stuff, he still can just, you know, do a lot of great things. This Monterey Jack made it so that, like, the Agnes that he was paired with didn't need to do much at all. Shout out to Tasty Toast for recommending the One of Farsight as one of my first upgrades. I've never played Farsight in a campaign deck, and that with Empirical Hypothesis, this new absolutely bonkers Scarlet's Keys card was a very fun time. Big shout as well to Higher Education for the times I forgot about it and caused me to fail tests, but we still won anyway. Thieves' Kit also did show up. Being able to nimble off an investigation is a pretty sweet deal. I think that this, while I'm not as high on Monterey Jack as I was this time last year, I do still think that Monterey Jack is a very nice investigator with a very impressive passive ability, which actually works very well for both, like, money decks and big hand size decks. I think it's just like passively very good at those things. I don't think you need to like actively seek it out. However, if you're just always moving and like, you know, he gets even better with like Eon charts. I mean, like, this isn't even like a Monterey Jack that is like built to abuse his ability, and it was still a very, very good time. Extensive Research, also a great card. But that should be the surprise to nobody. Yeah, I was really happy with this Monterey Jack deck, and I think it was very impressive. It was very good. Very good. Who's next? Patrice! All right. So my apologies if I absolutely butcher this pronunciation, but this deck was actually... I didn't build this deck. So this is what we were playing in our Edge of the Earth rerun with Travis and Bryn. So this was given me by a patron named Bolage, who they were like, I want to give you a Patrice deck to kind of show a different play style to play Patrice, because I have not had a great time with Patrice, and I just copied the deck. I've taken this deck pretty much exactly. I think I made some small changes. I added a few more cards to the upgrade pool that I could choose from, but like, this is the deck. So, like, I'm using this, the deck sent by the patron for this. This is a fun Patrice deck. I think that the exciting thing about Patrice is that you get to basically just see a new, like, your turn, like, you draw your 5 cards, and you're like, what the fuck is my turn gonna be this time? It can be absolutely anything. And then you're like, this is a good time. And I think that is a very fun aspect of Patrice. It's not my personal play style, but I will say that this this did go against my belief, where I was like, there is 2 Patrice decks, right? There's 2.5 Patrice decks. And while this is still taking advantage of Cornered, you gotta play Cornered in a Patrice deck. You kind of just like gotta, right? So like, that's what we'll say the 0.5 from, because like, Cornered is like gonna live in all the Patrice decks that can play it, probably, right? Like this one does, all the other Patrice decks I've seen. But There's like the Mind's Eye. I thought there was the Mind's Eye and then the Summoned Hound as like 2 examples. And I was like, I didn't think that there would be this asset playing, event playing, just traditional Patrice. And honestly, Bolash gave me a deck that did exactly what I thought I couldn't do with Patrice. And while I'm not exactly like, this isn't like a deck or an investigator that I will have dreams about, like Silas Marsh hugging me and putting my face against his warm chest. It still is it was a very good showcase of what Patrice is capable of doing, and I really appreciated it because it, opened my eyes to what this character is more capable of. And I mean, as I've said before, and I'll say again, my favorite thing about Arkham is learning more about Arkham. And this deck did that, and that was a big reason for why I did this resolution this year, to play all the investigators. Because it gives me new perspective on characters that I thought I knew everything about. Which is not true, because there's always more to learn. I'm very thankful that I got the opportunity to learn from the resolution here this year. Oh man, it feels like ages ago I played Rita. Rita? I love Rita now. I think Rita is a very fun investigator. Is this strange to hear? I think Rita, like, honestly, once I play this, I have this dirty fighting baseball bat Rita deck in my head. I think Rita might become one of my favorite investigators. Is that strange to say? Who would have thought? What a glow up. What a glow up. All right, we're on to Sister Mary. So Sister Mary was played in the other half of that Dream Eaters run that Monterey, Jack, and Agnes were played on. This was the Blessed team that I played with Parallel Wendy. Sister Mary played Runic Axe. And as you can see, we loaded it up pretty high. It was our only weapons in the deck. We weren't running Prepared for the Worst, because I think just Backpack's better now at this point. Usually now, if I'm playing like a deck like this, I will most often start with a Prepared for the Worst that I upgrade into a Backpack if I'm not doing something like Down the Rabbit Hole. That's just my thoughts on it. That's my new personal meta when it comes to finding weapons. But luckily we actually found like Runic Axe in our opening hand, like 3 out of the 4 games. It was kind of wild, very lucky. God was truly on our side. This deck was a blast to play. Cause Sister Mary is still not like perfect at using the Runic Axe, but she is very good at putting Bless tokens in the bag. And, Sacred Covenant and Ancient Covenant together is a very good time. It just is like, you could just, I pass, I'll put that back. I didn't need it anyway. It's very good. Radiant Hunt, Righteous Hunt, Radiant Smite. This is like basically just a very traditional Sister Mary deck. I'm not like huge on Sister Mary, but I do think that she is a fun investigator for the Blessed archetype. And if you have other investigators who are taking advantage of the Blessed archetype, Sister Mary just goes up in value. I think that she is still just kind of like, to me as an investigator, but I did have an enjoyable time playing her. I will say that I think Runic Axe is a very fun card. It's a little bit still complicated. There was a lot of times where I was like, there's so much happening. But I do think that it is a very fair weapon for its cost. I think it's very nice. I think it's a good weapon. Okay. Stella Clark. This is the other half of my Machining a Mystery. Oh my god, we've been talking about a lot of investigators. And we still got 4 more, including Stella. Holy crap. I mean, but we're powering through the resolution, so this only makes sense. Alright, Stella Clark, Machining a Mystery. So, this was a Stella deck where I wanted to build around the Shed a Light. Basically the test at 0. So, Shed a Light, Old Keyring, and then Quick Learners are all in combinations to basically test at 0 and just like play this card a bunch. To help facilitate that, we had we had Resourcefuls, the one right above it, but Take Heart just like planted a worm in my head and got control of it. So resourceful, and then obviously scrounge for supplies. And basically the idea was to play as many of these Shadowlights that we could and just absolutely screw the game over. Now, we couldn't really take advantage of, we're not really taking advantage of Stella's ability with this. Mostly we're kind of just taking advantage of Stella being the best user of Quick Learner, right? So, we're not trying to do broken stuff with neither rain nor snow. We're not trying to, we're just trying to do broken stuff with other broken Survivor cards. However, I do think that the Stella is, while this is good, I don't think this deck is, good because of, the neither rain nor snow Stella problem. Because I probably did resourceful and neither rain or snow back, but this is mostly just here, this was here just because, as I said, Stella was the best user of it. This deck's bonkers. Shadowlight is pretty good. It's a very good card. Survivor Recursion needs to be looked at. That's the new talking point here at PBG. Survivor Recursion. Uh-oh! It's a little bit spooky. But yeah, Stella's still bonkers. Stella's a very strong investigator. Nothing changed there. All right, Tommy Muldoon. Tommy Muldoon. So this was my build around Becky deck that I played through Darkham Horror, which should be finishing up this week on the channel. This deck, I actually enjoyed this deck quite a bit. It's a little bit scary when you don't find Becky, but we have a lot of tools there to also still just help us, still kill. We have Brandicathugas, and we have Sweeping Kicks. Am I going to put Sweeping Kicks in everything? You're like, why the hell are you playing Sweeping Kick? It gives you attack the same with Sweeping Kick that you play with Becky. Becky hits for 6, Sweeping Kick hits for 6. Sweeping Kicks, 2 more copies of Becky in the deck. Yeah, I think the deck was a good time. I don't have much to say. Tommy Muldoon is still kind of a snooze because he's just his ability is kind of just there, right? It's a good ability, but it's not anything crazy. You're just kind of I'm Tommy Muldoon. How's it going? How's it going, everybody? I'm Tommy Muldoon. I'm going to soak for you. I'm going to soak for myself, and then here's Becky. But Becky's going to take that soak and turn it into Bang Bang. There's not much to say about Tommy Muldoon. I love the Brandicathuga for Guardians as a off weapon, right? I think it's really good for that. It's a bit XP expensive, but luckily because Becky was, the plan was Becky, the Brandicathuga was a very easy thing to get there. Yeah, good card. Good deck. Good times. Yeah. Okay. We're getting there. We're on Ursula Downs. This was the other half of the Darkham campaign. I tried something that I've never really done before with Ursula, which is not just go traditional Seeker. I actually just tried to load myself up with relics. Now you might think, oh, but Justin, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relics, and you're not playing Ellie Horowitz. It was still a lot for me. Ursula, I think, is a good investigator. Her ability is very action positive. She has I think a very, very, very strong ability. It's I think one of them. I think it's a very good ability. I think it's a very strong ability. Her stat line you have to work around a bit, which balances it out. But I think that she's very good, and this deck just did its thing. It moved around, got clues, and played cards, and made numbers big. Moved, got clues. It was a good time. I never upgraded these. I was supposed to. Never did, because I prioritized the big things more. And as you can see, 1 made it through to the end. So Godspeed, Unearth the Ancients. You killed it. Okay. 1 investigator left. Parallel Wendy. So this was my first time playing Parallel Wendy, and you can actually see that I played the Old Keyring Shadowlight again because it's just so good. It's mostly, the thing is that if you're gonna be playing Old Keyring, you probably should look at playing Shadowlight too. Because now Old Keyring and Shadowlight is a 2-card combo that on a True Shroud location also removes a clue from a 4-Shroud location. And 4-Shroud locations are harder for you to deal with as Survivor Investigator using old keyring. And realistically, most Survivor Investigators, if your name is not Daryl Simmons, right? Or Ashcan Pete. But I mean, Ashcan Pete even needs to work for it. Otherwise, this was built entirely with the blessed side of the of Wendy's ability. So we chose to play with the just blessed. So just blessed cards. But as you can see, there's not a lot of blessed cards that like made it through the end. We had Rite of Sanctification, which got cut. The Ward of Radiances, which kept working till the end. And then we had this Holy Rosary that just also never made the cut. Jacob Morrison, still a fantastic card. Ancient Covenant, broken. Strong. So freaking good. This deck was a blast to play. I think Parallel Wendy is really cool because there's so many different ways to build her. I've always said that I thought that the Cursed was the best, and I still think that probably is true, but I need to theory craft it further. I'm very excited to revisit Parallel Wendy. I will say that I only used her ability once. Her ability is kind of just there. She kind of lives in that, like, Lola world, where, like, the deck building is kind of like the real big hook for Parallel Wendy. But the ability is still fine. But this was paired with Sister Mary, and, like, the plan was for Sister Mary to deal with weapons. If this was a more flex Wendy, then you would see your ability using more. I think the Parallel Wendy was a sick time, though. I had a blast with it. The deck was really fun and really cool, and it popped off, like, every time. And Ancient Covenant is just so freaking good. It's insane. It's, like, too good. It's a little bit too good. But Parallel Wendy, great time. I had a great time with her. I'm excited to explore her more and see what else she's capable of. Okay. How many investigators do we have left to cover up? I need to play them all in December. So we have Amanda Sharp, Kelvin Wright, Carolyn Fern, Parallel Daisy, Diana Stanley, Gloria Goldberg, Jacqueline Fine, Mandy Thompson, Mark Harrigan, Parallel Roland, Safina Rousseau, Tony Morgan, and regular Wendy. So we played 12 investigators this month, which means we need to play 13 investigators in December. We can do it. We can get there by the end of the month, and we can finish up this resolution. I might just have to grind out some Arkham, but it's going to be a freaking good time playing it. Thank you so much if you watched this video all the way to the end. If you have not subscribed to our channel, consider subscribing. If you have not, also, like, this is a weird video to watch. If this is your first time on the channel, it's a weird one to start with, but hey, welcome. If you've been watching us for a while and you're not subscribing, consider subscribing, because it just helps YouTube look at our channel more and go, hey, we want to promote these to more people, as well as liking the video is also very helpful. I'm going to stop talking about YouTube stuff because I always hate, it feels so insincere to me to talk about, like, like and subscribe. A huge thank you to all of our patrons, because, you allow me to play Arkham for your entertainment, as I do, to the extent that we do. So if you want to support Arkham creation and content creation from our channel, Patreon is a great way to do that as well. Another great way is just leave a comment on the video, or just, have a great day as well. Because, the best way to support this channel is to be happy. Because I'm happy, and you should be happy too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.